So slope of a line segment is what we're dealing with next. And this will be the last lesson that pertains to your assignment tomorrow, okay? So when you're at home tomorrow, you will have an assignment, and it's solely based on, it says 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 assignment/quiz. This is the last lesson that deals with this information, okay? So it will be released to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. and you'll hand it in hard copy either Friday or you'll just submit it that day online, okay? Either one works, doesn't really matter to me. Just make sure that if you're not submitting it online and turning it in, that you're giving me a hard copy of it, okay? So whether that's online paper, that's totally fine too. That works. Just make sure you're using a ruler as well, just so that everything is succinct, okay? So slope of a line segment on a Cartesian plane. So line segments, just so we are aware, can be formed by connecting two sets of ordered pairs on a Cartesian plane with a straight line. In layman's terms, guys, it's a line segment is connecting 2 points. It's a line that connects 2 points. That's all that means, okay? And from the diagram of the line segment, the slope can be determined, okay? So this is your definition or equation of slope, and that just means your rise over your run, okay? So your rise is going up or down. So if it goes up, it's positive. If it goes down, it's negative, okay? And your run is how far you go side to side. So just like a number line, if you think about it, if we go to the right, it's what? Positive or negative? Positive. And if we go to the left, it's negative, okay? So the rise is how far we go up or we go down. The run is how far we go side to side, okay? So the run would pertain to the x-axis and the rise would pertain to the y-axis, right? Does that make sense? Sweet. So we would start at the left endpoint of a line segment and go up or down to be on the same horizontal line as the right endpoint. And what that means, we'll kind of go through it, okay? So it says using the diagrams or using the following diagram, determine the slope of each line segment, reduced to the lowest terms if possible. So if you notice here, slope equals rise over run. Don't know even what I said there, but what that means is we're going to get an answer that might very well be a fraction. And then we know with fractions, we have to put it into lowest terms. So in this case, if we look at all of these things, we'll do AB first, okay? So if we look at, it has all the answers down here for us, or a spot to write the answers, but we'll go through it on the diagram just so you guys can all see it. So if we look at line segment AB, so 2 points connecting that line, our first thing we need to do is look at the rise. So how far does it rise towards that next point? So what we would do is we can count blocks here, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our rise being 4. And our run being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, a thing we need to also notice is we are going up and to the right. If we go up, is it positive or negative? Positive. If we go to the right, is it positive or negative? So we have two positives. So if we're dividing two positive numbers, would it be positive or negative? Positive, two positive numbers, right? So it's positive. So our slope would be going up 4 and to the right 5. So we have two positive numbers. So therefore our slope would be 4 over 5. Okay? Now, if we look here and we're going from C to D or in alpha order, we have to go what? Up or down? down. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would be, we would put -7 there since we're going down. Okay. That makes sense. We're going down 7, so we'd put -7. And then we're moving to the right to our point. So is it positive or negative? If we move to the right, positive, exactly. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we went to write that down, the slope of CD would be -7 and +6. So -7/6. Okay. All right, if we look at E to F, so E to F, it looks like if we're going in alpha order, E to F, we're going up and to the right, if we can imagine that. So in this case, E to F, we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So +6. And we're going to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it'd be 6/8. Can we reduce that? What can we reduce that to? 3/4. Thank you, Kyron. So basically, you just divided both of those by 2. So it'd be 3/4 would be our slope. Okay. Now, there is also other ways to figure out what our rise and run is, and that's just by looking at the numbers on the Cartesian plane. So instead of counting, like I've just shown you, I'll show you one other way. If we know that G starts at, if I look at so it's rise over run. So if I look at the rise and run, that's up or down, right? That's moving up or down. And I see that it's at -5 and it finishes at -11. I know that that goes down 6. Starting at 5, going to 11, I know that goes down 6. Now, if I've done that and I've gone down 6, then I know that this to the H is only over 3s because it starts at 8 and it finishes at 11. So therefore, it's over 3. Down 6/3. And that's just by looking at the stuff or the axes and looking at the numbers. Now, if you feel like counting blocks for now, that's totally cool. But if you want to, if you're someone that sees that pattern real quick, you can also begin to do that. Okay. So in this case, we're moving down 6. So it's -6. And we're moving to the right 3. So it's +3. Now, can we reduce that? Uh-oh. Can we reduce that at all? Or just do simple division with that? If I divided -6 by 3, what would I get? -2, perfect. So the slope would be -2. Okay? Yeah, so -2/1. Sure, that works if you want to write it that way. But we've got a whole number, so anything over 1 we can just write as a whole number. Okay, so next one is JK. And this is something that you need to kind of remember. If it's totally flat, if I think of a slope, if you made a hand signal for slope, what would you do with your hand? Yeah, so this, that, doing something like that. So if something was completely flat, what would you think the slope would be? 0. So in J to K, it's totally flat. So in this case, it would be 0. Okay? Now we have a different scenario. So totally flat, we know it's totally flat. The slope is 0. If we had one that went straight up and down, do you think you could tell what the slope is? Yeah. Sorry? No, because, and I'll tell you why, you're on to the right thing. In this case, all you did, Kyron, is count down -4, right? Or 4, right? But if we divide that by 0, if you did that on your calculator, it's going to show error. Because we can't define the slope of something if it's going straight up and down. We never know if that's going to change. So in this case, if you see something going straight up and down, we actually call this undefined. Because we don't know what the slope is. When that line continues, we have no clue what that will end up being. Okay? So I like where your head was at with -4 because, yeah, it does go down 4. But at the same time, we have no clue where it finishes, where it ends. Whereas we know the slope of a flat line is 0. One that's straight up and down, we have absolutely no clue. So, guys, you've got some assigned work to do there. I'll give you about 20 minutes or so, and we'll get through our one last lesson for today, okay? We have one more page? Oh, how about that? We'll continue. That's going to make for a good video, I'm sure, right? Sweet. Okay, so it asks us then to graph the line segment formed by the following endpoints, then determine the slope of each line segment in the diagram and reduce to the lowest terms. So our first one is 2 and 5. So A is 2 and 5, and B is 11 and 10. So if I graph this 2 and 5, so 2 on the X, 5 on the Y would be this point right here, and I can put A. And 11 and 10 would be 11 on the X, 10 up here. So sorry, 11 on the X and 10 up here on the Y, being B. Those are our 2 points. And if I connected those with a ruler that you guys will do, I can count out my amount of how high I'm going up and how high I'm going across. So remember, again, it's our rise over our run. And if I go from A, I'm rising 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I wrote this in, my slope of AB would be 5 over 9. Can we reduce that? No, we can't, right? So it just stays, that's our slope, 5 over 9 for A to B. Okay? Our next one is C. Point C is 5 and 1. So let's do that right now. 5 on the X and 1 would be right there, which is C. And D is 8 and -7. So 8 and -7 right there. So that would be D. If we connected those two, we can then count. So if we're going from C to D, it's going down. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So -8. And then it's going to the right. So positive numbers 1, 2, and 3. So therefore, it would be -8 over 3. And in this case, we can't reduce those numbers. So once again, it's -8 over 3. Okay, we've got 2 more left here. E says -8 and -6. So -8 and -6 would be right there. That is E. And F is -2 and -6, which would be right here. We've got a nice flat line. Once again, guys, you'll use a ruler. Don't have one that works on this screen. That's why. In this case, that's a flat line. So what would the slope of that be? 0, wicked. Okay. All right. Last one G to H, we've got -5 and 6. G. And H is -5 and -3. H. So just like Kyron kind of said there, it actually goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we did 9 divided by 0, you get on your calculator error. So what do we call that? Undefined. Cool. So if we just go through these last couple questions up here, if a line is rising to the right, so if it looks like this, and it's rising to the right, does that have a positive slope or a negative slope? Positive, right? And it's also, you'll notice that it is in quadrant 1, and it would also be in quadrant, what other one would it be in? Anyone know? What's the other quadrant it would be in? Or maybe start in? So no, it would be probably 3, okay? Meaning that you've got positive slope, so it'd be positive and positive, that being the x and the y, right? And then x and the y in Q3 is negative and negative. And if we divide two negatives or two positives, we get a positive, okay? So that's just another little tidbit there. If it is falling to the right slope, so it's falling to the right, it would then have what kind of slope? Negative. And primarily, you'll probably see that in Q2 and Q4. And if you notice that the x-axis is negative there and it's positive for the y, and then in Q4 it's positive x-axis, negative y. Two different signs there. If we divided those, we'd get a negative number or a negative slope. A horizontal slope, or that flat slope, has what? A slope of? No, not the horizontal one. Horizontal one is what? The one that's like this. 0. And then Kylie, the one that's up and down? Undefined. Okay? So take 20 there. That is all, right? I'm not missing a page now. Whew. Okay, wicked. So take your time then. Take about 20 minutes or so, guys. And yeah, we'll do our last lesson after.